still discussing the bones and cartilage topics. So last time we started to see the long bones anatomy, and we've seen up to the endosteum and the periosteum, which is the outside covering. So when you zoom in, you see the outside coverage, which is the periosteum. You can see that growth can also happen from the outside, or it could happen from the inside. So these are the osteoblasts. This big cell is osteoclast, which is called bone eater. So this with many nucleus is the osteoclast, but these are the osteoblasts that makes the bone, and they will get trapped in that circle and become osteocyte. So these are the bone makers. This is the osteocyte that maintains the bone, and this is what breaks the bone. So it's got multi-nucleated. But the osteoblast, it comes from the stem cell, which is called osteoprogenitor cell. So the osteoprogenitor cell gives the osteoblast, which gives the osteocyte. Where does this come from? Well, the cell origin, which cell? If you see the osteocyte, they come from osteoblast, which comes from the osteogenitor cell. What gives this? Basically, this is the macrophage. Where does the macrophage come from? Monocyte, which is in the blood. So the monocyte become macrophage, but in the bone, it's called osteoclast. So monocyte gives osteoblast, osteoprogenitor gives osteoblast and osteocyte. So in the bone, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 types of cells. When we see the microscopic structure, the bone has a connective tissue, and like any connective tissues, it's got extracellular matrix, which is rich due to the position of minerals. So there is mineral, especially calcium, magnesium, phosphate. These are the minerals that's stored in the bone. So that's why one of the functions of bone is storage. When we are short in calcium, we break down the bone and supply calcium. When we drink enough milk, it's stored using the osteoblast into the bone. That's what's called calcification. Okay. So the 4 cells here, you can see that osteoprogenitor cell, which is a stem cell. It gives rise to the osteoblast that forms the matrix. Question? So basically, these 4 are here listed. This is the stem cell which gives rise to the osteoblast. Osteoblast, it forms the bone. That's why it's called bone-forming cell. And as it forms the bone, it will be trapped in that matrix, which become osteocyte in a lacuna, but it maintains that matrix. And osteoclast, which is a macrophage, they're called bone eaters. How do they eat it? They use 2 mechanisms. One is the release hydrochloric acid, which dissolve the calcified matrix. Second, they release lysosomes, which breaks down the collagen. So that's why they're called bone breakers, because they cause osteolysis. Osteo means bone, lysis means what? To break down, you can have like hemolysis. That's when the red blood cell ruptures. Cell lysis, when the cell dies. The same thing in this case would be osteolysis. The bone is broken down because the osteoclast releases hydrochloric acid and lysosome. That causes osteolysis. Okay. So we see the picture here, as you can see it, the macrophage is breaking down the bone. And these are the monocytes becoming macrophage. So the nucleus are many. So it's why it's called multinucleated. You know, any cell that's multinucleated? A cell that has got many nucleus. Cell that has got striation. Skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle, if you remember, it's like this. You see the striation, but you have many nucleus, because if you take the biceps, the cell runs the whole length of the biceps, but it has got many nucleuses. In that way, osteoclast is multinucleated, so you can see that they come and merge, and it starts to dissolve the bone. But on bone making, you have the stem cell, osteoprogenital cell, which become osteoblasts. So you can see that's also thicker, but once it forms the matrix, it becomes thin and it creates a space, which is the lacuna. What do you call this extension? Canaliculi. That means one bone cell communicates with the next one using through this. That's called canaliculi. So, in general, when you see a bone, it has got organic, which is cell, collagen fibers, and ground substance. What do you mean when you say organic? What are the chemical composition? Okay. At the chemistry level, there is carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, phosphate. So these are what makes a compound organic. But if you take calcium, it's inorganic. Basically, the minerals are inorganic. These molecules, they're called organic. So, if you see the cell, collagen fibers, they have carbon, hydrogen, and ground substance, which is the glue that holds the tissue. The inorganic component are calcium, phosphate, and hydroxy. So this is what's called hydroxyapatite. Okay? This is what you find in the bone. Calcium phosphate, calcium hydroxide. What chemical do you find in the cartilage, if you remember? What is the name of the chemical called? In the cartilage, you find in the ground substance. Well, yeah, those are the fibers, but between the fibers, what is the chemical? hyaluronic acid. If you remember this, I said nowadays lotion companies are adding hyaluronic because it holds moisture. So now it's like a new brand now on a lotion to see hyaluronic acid because it can hold moisture. So this is in cartilage. In the bone, hydroxyapatite, which is calcium, phosphate, and calcium hydroxide. Okay. So bone has two major components. One is it's solid and dense, but the middle part is spongy. So there is a compact bone and a spongy bone. This is with a trabeculae, that means you have the compact bone on the outside, and on the inside here you have the marrow cavity. So the compact bone is this dense structure on the periphery. So if we see that structure, you can see the compact structure on the outside, that's compact bone, and this is what the spongy bone is. That means for especially flat bones of the skull, on both sides you can see there is a compact, and the spongy is sandwiched between them. So when you see this compact structure, the way it's going is it has got a blood vessel, it has got like ring-like structure, and then on this ring-like structure, it has got osteocyte. So the osteocyte connect this, but the osteocyte is in a space. What is the name of the space called? Lacuna. So here, osteocyte in a lacuna. That means one. If it is two or more, lacunae. And this ring is called lamella. When it's two, it will be lamella. And this blood vessel is called central canal. The whole structure is called osteo or Aversian system. And this structure is called where they connect canalula. Now, nutrient goes from this blood vessel to this cell, and then to this cell, and it goes out. So if you have two cells, let me label them 1, 2, 3. Which one is the older cell? Number 3 is the older cell, because as the bone grows, it goes farther, and finally, this is the one that's going to be broken down. So this is the Aversian system, cylindrical structure. So this runs along the long axis, parallel to the diaphysis. Okay. These are the structures. So let's see. This is what you see in the spongy bones. So you don't see osteons in the spongy bones, but you see trabeculae. In this space is where you find marrow, which is red marrow, and the yellow marrow that makes the bone lighter. So what is the function of red marrow. Blood cell production. What is that? Medical therapy. Hemopoiesis, hematopoiesis. Yellow marrow, fat storage. So this will give the space for the marrow and then at the same time make it lighter. But when we see the structure, let's see the image here, which makes it easier. So you can see that this is the osteo. If you take one of it, it's like a ring-like structure. And if you take one of this cell, you can see the osteocyte with this canaliculi. But one central canal connects this with another central canal with this one, which is called perforating canal or Volcan canal. So perforating canal runs perpendicular to connect multiple central canals. So passageway for blood vessels. So if we see it, this is perforating canal. It goes from one to the next one. But if you take the trabeculae, they look like this. You have osteoclast and osteocyte surrounding osteoblast. This is osteocyte in a lacuna. A scanning microscope, which is a 3D image. So this is a bone, you can see the space. We try to depict it here, but the actual space looks this. These are the canaliculi. So this is the leg, which is the lacuna. So it extends this to the next. So canaliculus is one, canaliculi is many. All right. How many types of growth have we seen in cartilage? How does the cartilage grow? Two ways, right? One from the outside or from the middle. So it's called appositional when it starts from the outside. Intramembranous when it starts from the middle. But for bone, we have ossification. Two patterns, intramembranous ossification and endochondral ossification. So intramembranous develops from the mesenchyme, from the stem cell, produce flat bones of the skull, facial bones, mandible, and portion of the clavicle. So this one basically does not grow, it becomes hard. For example, in babies, what do you call this soft spot? The fontanelles undergoes this type, it becomes hard. It doesn't grow, but it becomes compact. But in endochondral ossification is what mostly you see growth. Begins with hyaline cartilage and produce majority of the body. So here, ossification centers within the thickened region. So the bone starts to ossify. The cell becomes osteoblast. So this is the ossification center. And then osteocyte undergo calcification. That means there will be deposit of which chemical? Calcium. So it becomes hard. And blood vessel enters. Woven bones and surrounding periosteum. So blood vessel will come and then starts to form the spicules. So lamellar bones replace bone woven compact bone and spongy bone. So now you have compact bone on the periphery and spongy form in the middle. Okay. But in bone that grows, there are layers of growth, which is fetal hyaline cartilage model develops, cartilage calcifies, primary ossification, secondary ossification, and then the bone stops grows, but it will have epiphyseal plate that grows until it becomes epiphyseal line. Let's see a diagram that explains. Someone came in or? I just had the sound. Okay, so here you can see this is basically hyaline cartilage, and then it starts to form ossification here. A blood vessel enters. What do we call this hole? Here. If you see it on the bone. Here, nutrient foramen. So on the bone, the hole you see will be nutrient foramen because it enters, but also you can see nutrient foramen from the top. Now, here, growth starts, so you'll see primary ossification. Starts to ossify. And then here, start to ossify, but here, you can see that there is cartilage. And this cartilage disappears here. So this is where the bone grows on both sides. So that's why this part is called epiphyseal plate, which is commonly we call it the growth plate. And then when this epiphyseal plate gets smaller, and then when the cartilage run out, we don't grow anymore, then it's called epiphyseal line. Okay. Let's see this one. If you see this, you can see that is this an older person or a child or younger? This, by looking at this X-ray. Younger? Why? That means you can see the gap between the bones still growing epiphyseal plate. If it is finished growing, this become compact, hard, you don't see the gaps. Okay. Right, so let's see how this layers. So the way it's gonna grow is it has got 4 layers and the 5th layer of ossification. So first, it starts as resting cartilage. The cartilages are resting, and then they start to multiply. So the resting further medullary cavity nearest the epiphysis, which are on both sides, a small chondrocyte in hyaline cartilage. So that's why we say hyaline cartilage are part of a growing bone. Then it starts to divide. Larger chondrocyte undergoing mitotic division. So the number of cells increases. And then hypertrophic cartilage. So let's say if you have a cell here, 1, 2, 3. It becomes 1, 2, 3. It becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Both are 2 types of growth, right? In this case, the number is the same, but it got bigger. Here, the number increased. So this is what's called hypertrophy. This is called hyperplasia. That means the number increased, size increased. So this cell that multiplied starts to get bigger, and then calcium will deposit on them. So deposited mineral kills the chondrocyte, and the matrix become opaque. That means it starts to die, and then zone of ossification starts, bone formation starts. Walls between the lacuna break down, channels that become embedded with capillaries and osteoprogenitor cells. So the osteoprogenitor cells, what do they give rise to? They give rise to osteoblast, they give rise to osteocyte. So if we see this in an image of a growth plate, it looks like this. So the resting zone, you can see that they're far apart, the cells are far apart. Here is a proliferating zone. Why is it darker here? The number of nucleus. More nucleus makes it darker. So it's multiplying. And then it's gonna increase in size, so you'll see a space, and it's going to die here, which is calcification will kill the cell, and then bone formation will happen. So this happens on both sides of the bone. Let's say this is a long bone. So it happens here, it happens here. So here you grow this way, you grow this way. Here, you grow this way, you grow this way. On both sides, the bone increases. As a result, this bone goes both directions. But after a while, this will stop. Epiphyseal plate become epiphyseal line. So this will disappear and become one bone. What is the takeaway message here? Hyaline cartilage becomes bone. And in epiphyseal plate, we have 5 zones. These are the zones. They rest, they multiply, they get bigger, they die, and they become bone. Those are the 5 zones. And the plate at the end become epiphyseal line, then we stop growth. Okay. Question? So bone grows, how do the bone grows? So long bone grows in length is referred as interstitial growth, occurs within the epiphyseal plate. Bone grows in diameter referred to as appositional. That means if the bone grows in this direction, it is appositional, keeping the position is getting thicker. But in length, it's growing here, which is interstitial growth. Osteogenitor cell within the periosteum differentiate to become osteoblast. Cells that deposit new bone. So that's why another name for osteoblast is what? Well, osteocyte. Osteocyte. What's another name? A common name that we can use this. Bone. Because they make the bone. And then what is the function of osteocyte? Maintain. Osteoclast. Bone breaker. Then new outer ring starts to build. So you'll see circumferential lamellae. If blood vessels from the periosteum gets incorporated into the new space, it will be the central canal, which we try to forget. This way, central canal, so blood vessel will come and become the central canal. So this is the osteoclast, but these are the developing marrow, so it's osteoblast. How do you know this is osteoblast? This is a histology. How do you know? What is the key?
The dark,
Multinucleated. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 nucleus. There are multiple nucleus. But if it is single nucleus, it will be osteoblast. So, how do the bone maintain its internal environment, which is homeostasis? Okay. You will learn this more in physio, but we have to make a big distinction between hemo homeostasis and homeostasis. What's homeostasis? Maintaining internal balance. For example, keeping your blood pH within a range, keeping your blood sugar within the range. That's homeostasis. What's hemostasis? To stop bleeding. These are terms that you see in board exam like TIS test or MCAT for those of you planning pharmacy school or medical school. You see this word is coming again and again. Right? So how do the bone maintain its internal environment? That means bone remodeling occurs throughout our life. There will be bone resorption, which is the action of osteoclast. That means bone is continuously broken down. Bone deposition. The bone always forms due to stress, it changes its bone structure. So 10 to 20% of skeleton is replaced each year. Okay. So we take appositional growth, in which the bone increases in diameter. So you can see that it was thin here, now it's getting wider. Getting wider, and you can see this by adult. So the thickness of the bone, especially the compact bone, increases. So this is appositional growth. So basically, in appositional growth, what you see is a blood vessel will come in. It will be surrounded with the lamellae. Now you can see that this is the first one, so another ring comes, another ring from the inside, so it gets older now. This starts to break down, another circle will start here. So it gives it thickness to the diameter. So in bone homeostasis, these are the most important factors that keeps your bone healthy or that affects your bone. Hormone, how does a hormone affect bone? Calcitonin, that means this is a hormone produced by your thyroid gland. It deposits calcium into the bone. It makes it strong. Testosterone, estrogen, also important for bone strength. But which hormone withdraws calcium from the bone? You need something because you cannot always deposit, right? Money, you have to withdraw. Same thing, you need something. Hormone by the parathyroid withdraw. Okay? How is nutrition affecting bone? Nutrition, which nutrition? Especially. Calcium, vitamin D, and C. Exercise. What's the major problem for NASA scientists when they go to space? Weight bearing. That means the bone density becomes less. So now they take treadmill there and they run on the space because they have to exercise to keep the bone strength. Age. Okay, so effects of hormone. So bone alter the rate of osteoblast and osteoclast activity. So if a bone stimulates osteoclast too much, the bone will break down. If a bone stimulates osteoblast too much, the bone gets stronger. So estrogen, testosterone, stimulates osteoblast. Bone growth is stimulated by growth hormone. Okay, what are growth hormones target? Growth hormone. Okay, bone. What do they affect? Growth hormone.
Adipose.
Adipose. Okay. So growth hormone is very tricky. Yes, it deposits, makes the bone strong, but also it increases fat deposition. Okay? And hormone regulate calcium level in the blood is bone storage reservoir for calcium. PTH, which is parahormone, stimulate osteoclast. Calcitonin inhibit osteoclast. So, let's say, just in a brief, we'll discuss this more in the urinary system. Let's say you are getting calcium that's from the milk. Which hormone will be stimulated? Now, let's put it this way. In the blood, you're gonna have high calcium, right? Hypercalcemia. That means more calcium in the blood. Which hormone will be stimulated? Calcitonin. Which cell is going to stimulate? Osteo. Which one? Blast. Then it's going to deposit calcium. Right? No calcium supply. You're not drinking milk, you're not getting supplement. Then you're going to have hypocalcemia. Now, the body is going to produce PTH. Which cell is going to stimulate? Osteoclast. Osteoclast is going to dissolve the bone. How is it going to do it? Well, you have to take out the calcium which is stored. You need a password for that. What is the password to take this out? What does this bring? Hydrochloric acid and lysosome. And then release calcium to the blood. That means this is what's homeostasis in the body. So this maintains. So this makes the bone weak. This makes the bone strong. That's healthy to have both balanced. But as we get older, we lose this one and this continues. What will happen? Osteoporosis, the bone becomes porous. Okay? All right? Effects of nutrition. Vitamins are needed for normal broncho growth. Calcium, phosphate, vitamin A, and C. They're important for collagen. A lot of times students or health professionals say, oh, you need vitamin D. Yes, you need vitamin D. But you need also collagen, which needs vitamin A or C. Rickets, which is bowing of the leg, which will open this way. And osteomalacia, mineralization of the bone will be affected. In California, there is too much sun, but a lot of people are vitamin D deficient. I myself was surprised. A couple of years ago, my vitamin D was low. What do you think the cause is? Most of the time, I'm in the building. Yeah. But that's the problem. Even though there's enough sun outside, a lot of people are either in the house watching TV or in the building working, or they don't get enough exposure. Okay, so this is very important because to absorb the calcium in the milk, you need vitamin D. Which organ is important for this? Skin and kidney. Skin and kidney are important for vitamin D. Okay? Effects of exercise. Mechanical stress stimulates increased the bone density. Increased the osteoblast activity. So when you exercise, basically you cause a positional growth. The bone has to resist that mechanical stress. If you overdo it, you'll break it. So bone of athletes become thicker and stronger as a result of repetitive stress. But they're also susceptible to bone injuries, joint injuries. So bone loss with age, but can be slowed down with weight-bearing exercise. Yes. Yes. All right, so aging, osteopenia, loss of bone density in strength. Some bone loss is normal. Osteoblast activity declines as we age, which means deposition decreases, but osteoblast activity will keep up. That's why we suffer with osteopenia. Two, female. Why female are susceptible to this? Menopause, and we did not mention menopause, but we mentioned something related to menopause. The hormone estrogen, which is produced by the ovary, if there is no menstrual cycle, that means there is no more estrogen. That means osteoclast activity decreases. Female, 8% of the bone mass per decade, especially after 30. Male loses about 3% per decade. Where? At the epiphysis, vertebrae, and jaw. So it's common to see this area fracture. Okay? I'm gonna skip this one and I'll show you the difference between normal bone. You can see that this is osteoporotic bone. The chemicals are withdrawn, so there is too much activity of the osteoclast compared to the osteoblast. So this is